They told the world it didn't exist, that it was a myth, a science fiction fantasy dreamt up by paranoid minds, and for years that was enough. A few whispers in defense circles, a brief mention in a declassified report, quickly redacted, dismissive laughter in press briefings, but behind closed doors, under the veil of national security, the United States was building something, not a missile, not a drone, not a bomb, but a weapon that could kill from space. It has no warhead, no propellant, no signature, just a rod of solid tungsten, around 20 feet long, 1 foot in diameter, weighing over 10,000 pounds. It travels at 10 times the speed of sound, and when it hits, it can strike with the force of a small nuclear bomb, but with none of the radioactive fallout. No mushroom cloud, no public outrage, no accountability. They call it Project Thor, or more ominously, rods from God. The idea is terrifyingly elegant. Place several of these rods in orbit on a satellite platform. When a target is designated, the satellite simply releases the rod. Gravity does the rest. No need for propulsion, no explosive payload. The energy comes entirely from the sheer speed of descent. Upon impact, the rod can deliver up to 11 tons of TNT-equivalent kinetic energy. That's enough to penetrate hundreds of feet of reinforced concrete, to pulverize hardened bunkers, to erase command centers in an instant. And best of all, there is no defense. No existing radar system can track a rod falling from orbit at Mach 10. No anti-missile system can intercept it. No early warning system can issue alerts. The attack would be silent, invisible, and untraceable. It would look like a natural disaster, an earthquake, a meteor strike, but it would be war. The concept of kinetic orbital bombardment isn't new. It was first theorized during the Cold War, but abandoned due to the high cost of lifting heavy materials into space. In the 1950s and 60s, both the US and Soviet Union toyed with space weapons. The Outer Space Treaty of 1967 banned the use of nuclear weapons in space, but it said nothing about non-nuclear kinetic energy weapons. That legal gray area remained untouched, dormant, until the technology caught up with ambition. In the early 2000s, after the failures of conventional bombs to destroy Al-Qaeda caves in Afghanistan, US military planners revisited the idea. What if, instead of trying to bomb a mountain from the air, you could punch straight through it, from orbit? By 2003, the Air Force began allocating funds to the Prompt Global Strike initiative, which aimed to develop weapons capable of hitting any target on Earth within 1 hour. Rods from God became more than a theory. It became a line item in a black budget. Between 2003 and 2010, over $6 billion was funneled into classified programs focused on global strike capabilities. DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, worked with private contractors to explore materials, orbital platforms, and targeting systems. By 2014, documents leaked via whistleblowers revealed that test drops had already occurred over the Pacific. The official line was that these were dummy payloads, but seismic monitors in Micronesia recorded tremors equivalent to a 2.1 magnitude earthquake. The source? Unknown. Then came the X-37B, a mysterious, unmanned spaceplane developed by Boeing for the US Air Force. It looks like a miniature space shuttle, but it's fully robotic. No pilot, no windows, just a cargo bay and an orbital path that no civilian agency can trace. Its first mission launched in 2010. Since then, it has completed 6 classified missions, each lasting between 270 and 900 days in orbit. No one knows what it carries. But in 2021, a French astrophysics observatory reported that the X-37B released 6 objects into orbit during its 4th mission. The U.S. refused to comment. Space analysts believe those objects were metallic cylinders roughly the size and shape of kinetic rods. If true, it means the U.S. has already placed orbital weapons into Earth's low atmosphere. They are already there, waiting, hidden among commercial satellites, sleeping above our heads. The cost is immense. Each tungsten rod costs approximately $230,000 to manufacture. Launching it into orbit with a reusable rocket like SpaceX's Falcon 9 costs another $10 million. A full platform of 12 rods would exceed $130 million. But the payoff is strategic supremacy. No need for bases, no need for allies, no need for permission. The U.S. could strike any target in any country without entering their airspace, within minutes, with complete deniability. In 2022, the Pentagon quietly requested an additional $3.4 billion under the line item Orbital Precision Engagement Systems. The wording was vague, the explanation redacted, but it came the same month as a mysterious explosion at an Iranian military facility in the Al-Borz Mountains. The Iranian government blamed a gas leak. Satellite images showed a 25-foot crater. The U.S. denied involvement. But kinetic weapons are just the beginning. The next frontier is lasers. Not the clunky battlefield lasers seen in Hollywood. These are compact, solar-powered, and deadly. In 2021, Lockheed Martin received a $1.2 billion contract for the development of space-based directed energy systems. The program, known internally as Helios, high-energy laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance, aims to mount lasers on orbital drones. The energy is gathered from solar panels, stored in superconducting batteries, and unleashed in focused bursts capable of melting steel. Tests conducted in 2022 over White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico showed that Helios lasers could disable a drone in 3.6 seconds. But documents revealed by investigative journalists suggest that orbital tests have already begun. In July 2023, a fire broke out in a Chinese radar station in Xinjiang province. No missile was detected. No explosion was heard. The cause was internal overheating. In the same month, NASA's tracking telescopes observed a brief optical distortion over the site's coordinates. A flash, invisible to the naked eye, but not to infrared sensors. Coincidence? Perhaps. Or perhaps a live demonstration. This is the true face of modern warfare. Silent, instant, undeniable. The U.S. Department of Defense has long argued that its investments in space are for surveillance and communication, but the numbers say otherwise. Since 2018, the U.S. has spent over $58 billion on military space operations. That includes $17.3 billion for orbital assets, $14.9 billion for global strike R&D, and $5.6 billion for undisclosed strategic capabilities. And then there's the legal cover. The Outer Space Treaty remains in force, but the U.S. refuses to sign additional protocols banning non-nuclear space weapons. In fact, when the UN proposed a resolution in 2021 to prohibit the weaponization of low Earth orbit, the U.S. voted against it, along with only 2 other nations, Israel and the United Kingdom. Why? Because space is no longer neutral territory. It's a battleground, and whoever controls orbit controls the Earth. That's not speculation, that's doctrine. The official U.S. Space Force Strategic Framework, published in 2020, states, Supremacy in space is a prerequisite for global military dominance. Orbital superiority ensures full-spectrum deterrence. In plain English, control space or lose Earth. And yet, most people remain unaware. They look up and see stars, satellites, space stations. They don't see the rods. They don't hear the lasers. They don't feel the surveillance until it's too late. This isn't science fiction. This is happening. Right now. Above us. Around us. The US has already spent over $10 billion developing a weapon that doesn't officially exist. And yet, it can strike anywhere on the planet, at any time, with no declaration, no warning, and no consequences. This isn't just a weapon. It's a message to every rival, to every regime, to every insurgent hiding in a cave or a bunker or a high-rise tower. We can see you, we can reach you, and we can end you without a single soldier, without a single drone, without a single trace. The era of silent wars has begun, and the next one may already be underway, up there, in the silence above.